Hello there, people of the internet. How's everyone doing today? I'm doing alright. Thanks for asking. Me and a buddy of mine were talking the other day, and he asked me a question, and I wasn't entirely sure how to answer at the time. Both of us are not necessarily hardcore preppers, but we like to be prepared for if something happens, or if martial law is called into effect, or anything like that. And this is progressively becoming more and more possible nowadays. With the C-word virus basically spreading pandemonium everywhere, people are starting to really freak out. And the government's going to try and holding iron grip on the civilian population. So once that happens, you can basically expect rebellions to pop up all over the United States everywhere, because the American people are not ones to quell to oppression under any circumstance, especially under an apocalyptic circumstance. But I digress. Me and my buddy were talking, and he asked me, hey, in the event that there's a shit hits the fan situation, what sort of loadout are you going to have? What are you going to grab and run with to get away from whatever the imminent threat is, or to deal with whatever the imminent threat is? I didn't really know how to respond. I mean, I do have a vast variety of different firearms and calibers, different types of ammunition and whatnot, but some choices were better than others, and I'm going to go ahead and go over that right now. This is not a "this is the best thing you can do and everything else is crap" video. This is a "this is what I have, and out of all of these options, this is what I chose, and here's why" video. That was a mouthful. I'm not telling you that this is what you have to go with. I'm saying out of all the stuff I own, this is what I chose, and I'm going to give you guys a reason why. Now, before I do that, I'm going to show you guys what I didn't choose and give reasons as to why I didn't choose that. And the reasoning is pretty good. I put legitimate thought into all of this loadout. Now, I'm not talking about medical supplies, rations. I'm not talking about gear or anything like that. I'm talking specifically firearm-related products. So, out of what I currently own, this is what I would not have chosen, and later on I will show what my actual choosing loadout is. I'm going to go ahead and start off with a very common, very obvious choice that I'm sure nobody would not see coming. Alright, so first on this list, this is my AR-15. Now, the AR-15 is a fantastic platform to run in a shit hits the fan situation. It is light, very accurate, very reliable. The ammunition is very, very readily available here in the United States. However, this particular AR-15 is the only one that I currently own. It is an ATI Omni-Max Hybrid Multi-Caliber AR-15 chambered in 223/556, and it's got a polymer receiver. The fact that it has a polymer receiver, as I've said before, makes this right here not a battle rifle. Now, I would gladly take this over like a rock or a sharpened stick or something. It'd probably pop off a few shots before something destroys the rifle in an amazing fiery blaze of nonsense. Odds are, if something impacts this rifle hard enough to destroy it, I'm probably dead as well. But this polymer framed rifle, polymer is not something that I would run into battle with, at least not on the AR-15 upper receiver platform. A lot of lower receivers on AR-15s are polymer to help weight reduction, but this has an upper receiver that's polymer, and that is pretty much the only reason why I decided not to go with this thing. I've got like 8 mags for this thing, all reliable. I've ran and tested them all, but I don't have a mag carrier for the AR-15 platform. So I'd pretty much just be carrying them in my pockets and my bag and whatever the hell I had. And that is another reason why I did not choose this rifle right here. But that doesn't mean I can't fire it right now. Now, I'll be honest, I've gone about doing a couple of torture tests to this rifle. Not real heavy stuff, just like seeing what I could get it to fail at. And it's actually held up pretty well. Let's see how well it runs this stuff. ran it just fine. Wouldn't be a gun video if I didn't at least run the guns I was showing off, right? So it does run good with the torture tests I put it through. It is pretty reliable for what it is, but I haven't exactly smashed the upper receiver to see how durable it is, and I don't really plan on doing that. So without that knowledge, I've just decided that I'm not going to run this thing in a combat scenario. So that's my choosing behind this. Let me pick up another really good choice, but with the options I have, it's not the choice I'm going to make. The rooster in the background has been crowing all day. We just recently lost a rooster, and I think he's a little upset about it. So you'll have to forgive him for making the noise. All right, this right here is another fantastic choice in a shit hits the fan situation. This right here would probably be my choice of rifle. This is the Ruger Mini 14 chambered in 223/556. The only reason why I didn't choose this rifle right here is because I only have one 30-round mag. With 223 being as plentiful and as readily available as it is in the United States, it might be the most available, most, what's a good way of saying it? You're more than likely going to find 223 laying around somewhere than you would find pretty much any other caliber if you were to go scavenging in an apocalyptic situation. So 223 would be the best way to go. Unfortunately, with just one mag in this thing, this right here is not the prime option that I have. Now later down the road, I will be getting another AR-15. I will be grabbing more mags for this thing, but the situation is here now. So I don't have later on down the road. I just have what I have right now. And although I would love to have this thing at my side, this very well proven American-made iconic rifle running off the M1 system, this beautiful, beautiful rifle right here, as much as I would love to have this in a combat situation or an apocalyptic situation, especially with how 223s are everywhere, I simply won't do it just because I don't have another mag. Unfortunately, mags for these things aren't nearly as common as AR-15 mags. But it does have a bayonet lug on it, because it's got a God, it's so hot out here. It's got an M14 flash hider on it. So that's a nice perk for what it is. All right, let me go ahead and run a few rounds through this thing, because why not? Well, that was fun. And it locks open on an empty mag. How do you like that? Probably not the best system to have in a combat situation. The one thing that I don't like about the system is the fact that the bolt is exposed and the firing pin and hammer in the back is exposed. So there are flaws with this system, but I would happily take this over the polymer receiver AR-15 any day of the week, especially if I had more mags for it. But I don't have any more mags for this thing, so that's all I have, and that is why I had to say no to this rifle. Let me grab another example. All right, I know that this right here is a Mosin Nagant, or Nagant, or however it is that you people want to yell at me on how to pronounce this thing. I don't care. Shut the hell up. This is a Nagant. Say it just completely off. See how many people I can irritate. But anyway, this is a M44. This right here is basically going to represent versus being an actual rifle. Something I would not choose in a shit hits the fan situation unless I had to. Like, I would happily take this over a rock or a slingshot or something like that. But something I wouldn't choose is any bolt action rifles or anything like that. I'm not saying that they aren't effective rifles, but in close quarters combat, which is what would happen if something were to happen where I am, in close quarters combat, a bolt-action full-powered rifle like this would not be the proper choice. Now, a lot of people, I'm not denying that this is not going to be an effective rifle. Hello, Kevin. Good to see you too, buddy. I'm not denying that this would be an effective rifle in a combat situation. I'm just saying that tactically speaking, this right here is not what I would want in the environment that I would be having issues in. Not only that, but a bolt action rifle, unless you are really, really, really good with the bolt, will not stack up to a semi-automatic. And unless you're really, really fast at reloading or have a stupidly long 30-round magazine for this thing. I've seen 20-round mags and they're like out to here, so like a 30-round mag would be way massive on this Mosin. It just wouldn't be able to stack up with a semi-automatic double stack magazine from a non-rimmed cartridge. It's not just bolt actions that I wouldn't bring into battle. It's pretty much any bolt action, whether it's military surplus bolt actions or like the Kar 98 I wouldn't bring into battle, or any of the modern hunting rifles like the Savage Axis models. I wouldn't want to bring those into battle. Even if it does have a external mag that you can just swap out pretty quick and 30 round capacity on those, I still wouldn't want to bring those in, just because it's bolt action and they can't. They could keep up with semi-automatic, but I mean, if you manage to hurt your hand or something, firing a semi-automatic is a lot easier than cycling through a bolt action. With my situation and everything going on right now, I would not choose a bolt action rifle. But that doesn't mean that I can't at least fire it at my range, at my house, during a time of peace and tranquility. Are you gonna scream for me, Kevin? I like it when Kevin screams. Ah, the Kevin over there started screaming. Thank you, Kevin. Ha! Damn it. Now I'm gonna have to clean this rifle because I was firing corrosive ammunition. That's another thing I don't like about Milsurp rifles, is a lot of the ammo that's out there is corrosive. So, well, I guess there's 223s and 7.62x39s that are corrosive out there. But there's also a lot that's not. Of course, I guess there is a modern production 7.62x54 rimmed, but if you come across 7.62x54 rimmed, odds are it's going to be surplus stuff, just cheap surplus tin ammo that somebody had buried or laying around or something like that. Speaking of, here's an interesting concept that I thought about not too long ago. After all this is said and done, and like 100 years into the future pass, and the issues of having a tyrannical government has long since passed because we've decided to take those types of people out of office and keep them out of office. After all that's said and done, our grandchildren are just going to find these random buried AR-15s, and they're gonna, it's gonna be in the history books of this dark time in America where we had to fight to maintain our Second Amendment rights. And those are just going to be little patches of history from right now, when us as the American people had to bury our firearms so the government wouldn't take them away. I mean, it's a horrible time to be in right now, but it's going to be a beautiful story how the American population rose above what the government said we should be. And finding those buried AR-15s 100 and 150 years down the road, probably still functional if they were buried properly. Finding them like that is going to be, I hope it's like breathtaking. Like, oh my, like that'd be the equivalency of us just going into the backyard and digging and finding a musket from the Civil War. Like, at that time it was just, whatever, it's just a musket. I mean, who cares? We got a stack of 50 of them over there. And Yes, there's Kevin screaming again. And right now it's just like, ah, yeah, you dug up an old AR-15. Congratulations. It was buried, 10 years ago by your uncle. But you give yourself, or you give the object enough time, and it starts to gather quite a bit of significant historical value. Okay, let me go ahead. I know I'm rambling here a little bit. Let me go ahead and grab another thing that I've got. Get off me, you little fuck. Ants. Gotta love them, right? But let me go ahead and grab another thing that I've got. This right here is also not a specific thing. It's more of a representation. This right here is another military surplus example, but like I said, this is nothing more than a representation. I have myself my semi-automatic SKS here. This is a Russian SKS, 1953 production, 54, no 53, from the Izhevsk Armory. Izhevsk? No, this is the Tula one. Oh, cool. Neat. Anyway, this right here represents any semi-automatic that is a stripper clip fed or in-block fed or something like that. Like the SKS is a stripper clip fed semi-automatic. The M1 Garand is a in-block clip semi-automatic. I think that those are the two most common semi-automatics that you're going to find here in the United States that take a separate clip versus a magazine. I would happily take something like this over a bolt-action rifle. Just having the semi-automatic capability is definitely the preferred. However, because it feeds from a 10-round stripper clip and not an external magazine, it is a little slower on the reload. Not only that, but here in the US, these right here aren't really something that you're just gonna run across like you would an AR-15 magazine or something like that. The AR-15 magazine would probably be the more common thing that you would run across. So it's limited capacity as well, at least on the non-sporterized versions without the 30-round removable magazine, which they do come with. You can get yourself a 30-round removable magazine for this thing, but anyone who's reloaded one of those knows that it's not as fast as some of the more modern battle rifles. So because I personally don't have a 30-round removable magazine for this thing, the capacity limitation and how long it takes to actually reload this rifle are why I would not choose this as a shit hits the fan situation type rifle. Not only that, but although it is pretty easy to disassemble and take apart, finding parts laying around for it is probably not going to happen. I mean, here in the US, you could probably find some spare parts for it without, ordering them online. But you're very, very more than likely going to find parts for like an AR-15 or an AK or something that's much more common than a Russian SKS. Now, with that being said, I definitely did not load these 10 rounds just to not fire them. Okay, well, fantastic rifle. Definitely could be used in a shit hits the fan situation. But with my loadout, this right here would not be my go-to. I mean, I would take it if I had to. Don't get me wrong. I would happily, happily take this if this was, my only option. Give me that. But it's not my only option. So now that I've ran through a couple of really good options, but not what I would want in a combat situation because of what I have, let me go ahead and show you guys what I would actually grab in a, this is real, this is here situation. Alright, this is my Romanian RH-10. This right here is probably the best option that I have in, at least right now, a shit hits the fan situation. The receiver is steel, so it's already better than the AR-15 that I have. I have like 8 magazines for this thing, so it's already better than the Mini 14. It's externally mag-fed, better than the SKS. Semi-automatic, so better than the Mosin. Now, because of my sight limitations, I can't really, like, if something's out at 100 yards, I probably won't be able to hit it regardless of how good of a shot I am. And I'm not that good of a shot either, so it is what it is. I wouldn't be able to hit something out that far, but I do have a scope mount for this thing, so that right there might come in handy at some point in time. But with how durable this thing is, because of its steel receiver, with my innumerate amount of magazines and ammunition for this thing, I decided that out of all the options I have, this Romanian RH-10 would be the best option. I do have other AK-47s, but those are inner ordnance AK-47s. Ain't no way in hell I'm bringing in an AK-47 made by inner ordnance into a combat situation. Now, along with this AK-47, I've also got, I think that this is a East German mag pouch. This holds 5 30-round magazines. This side I got another pack of 20. And right here I've got a Swiss Army knife, just in case I find myself in some sort of situation. And I have a lighter, you know, just in case I find myself in some sort of situation. I keep this in my AK beside my bed, so if something happens, toss it on, grab the AK. You know, this is my we're being fired on right now setup. This is my, you know, shit's hitting the fan right now, grab whatever is closest to you setup. Maybe later on I'll make a setup as what I have in terms of a bug out bag, like the medical supplies and the different rations and different things that I think people should carry with them in case they, you know, really need it. But that'll be a different video. Now, I got my primary firearm. That's fine and dandy. It's always nice to have a go-to rifle with a bunch of already loaded mags. They're great mags, they're P-mags, so they're already, you know, time tested and whatnot. So I got those loaded with some soft tip ammo. This way I don't have to worry about, or I still have to worry about it, but I don't really have to worry about over penetration. Now, if somebody's coming at me with body armor, that might be something I have to worry about, but I've already got things in place for if somebody comes at me with body armor. You see, the human body is very fragile, and there's more than just impacts that can take it out. Anyway, let's go ahead and fire a few rounds from this AK. Well, there we go. All right. I think out of all my mags, I like this one just because of its color. It looks really good with the furniture that I have on this AK. I like it. Now this is just a 30-round mag, also made by Inner Ordnance. Inner Ordnance does make decent mags. I mean, I know I give them tons and tons and tons of crap for their AK lineup, and they deserve every single bit of it. But their mags are all right. Their mags are actually pretty decent. They fit very firmly and very snugly in all the AKs that I've ran them through. All right, well, like I said, that's my primary rifle. I was thinking about what I would run as a sidearm. Now, in the United States, you know, if you were to ask someone back in the 1960s, they'd say 45 ACP is probably the more common cartridge. However, nowadays 9mm is by far the most common cartridge that you're going to run across. And because of that, a 9mm would be the best option to have and run in a shit hits the fan situation. As a result, let me show you guys what I decided not to have, and I will explain why. Hopefully you guys can understand where I'm coming from. Alright, now there's a ton of better options out there in terms of 9mm handguns, but like I'm saying, this is what I own. This right here is a Star BM chambered in 9mm. These are excellent, excellent handguns. However, this particular one has some issues, and if it wasn't for those issues, I would choose this as my sidearm going into whatever situation I'm going into. And that situation is it doesn't run brass very well at all. I've got some 9mm brass case ammunition here, and I'm gonna go ahead and try firing it, and the gun's gonna lock up several times before I'm done with that mag. It will run steel case ammo just fine. No worries whatsoever there. If I had a bunch of steel case ammo, then that's what I'd use. But steel case 9mm is like non-existent right now. So I simply don't have any. So as a result, with only 2 magazines and 1 mag's worth of brass case ammo available, this right here would not be what I would bring into combat. Alright, this ammo is kind of old too, so hopefully it runs okay. Let's see how well it functions. Well, I'll be damned. You know, I was thinking, what if this happened? And hey, what do you know? It happened. We got through the whole magazine without a single malfunction. That is amazing. Now, I have made several videos in the past where that has jammed up multiple times on brass ammunition. So, I'm actually surprised. I'm legitimately surprised that it made it through all those rounds without jamming up. As a matter of fact, I feel like it did that just to spite me on this video. It was like, hey, you think I can't do it? I'll show you. And boy, howdy, she sure did it. So definitely still a viable option. If that's the only option I had, I would absolutely take it. But because of what I have right now, especially after that, I no longer have any 9mm ammunition. That was the last of my brass case ammunition, and I just kind of had it laying in a box in the back room for, I don't know, 10 years now or so. It wasn't even a full mag's worth. It was just old 9mm that I had laying around. I wasn't really expecting it to even fire as well as it did. So, I don't know. I'm amazed that it made it through all those rounds. Great gun, tons of fun to shoot. 2 mags, so it's not horrible. It's not a horrible option, but it's not the best option. This right here is the option that I would actually go with. There's nothing real special about this. This is a Rock Island Armory 1911 chambered in .45 ACP. The only reason I'd go with this right here versus something else is, 1, I've got quite a bit of .45 ACP ammunition. 2, this will cycle everything I've stuck in it, you know, so far throughout my past experiences. The Star BM cycles quite a bit, but on the brass stuff, it does jam more often than not. This right here can pretty much run anything that's .45 ACP. Not only that, but the Star BM has 2 mags for it, and I've got like 15 for my 1911. So I've got way more mags for this thing, way more ammo for this thing, and this will run far more different types of ammo than that 9mm will. So although this is chambered in .45, which is a much more powerful round than 9mm, it is less available than 9mm, although it is still very, very common in the United States. But you're more than likely going to come across 9mm laying on the ground or on a corpse or whatever it is that you're doing in your apocalyptic situation events. You'll probably come across some .45 ACP at one point or another, but I'd say, you know, about half as often as you'd find 9mm. 9mm, and we really see that during this time of crisis. 9mm seems to be the go-to cartridge for Americans nowadays. Anyway, I gotta make sure I'm not getting rusty with this thing, so I'm gonna go ahead and pop off a few rounds downrange. There you go. God damn it. make a complete ass of myself by missing most of those rounds. Anyway, yes, I'm not that great of a shot with a handgun. Not only that, but after firing all these, I'm quite tired. You know, that was just an excuse. That's almost embarrassingly bad, and I definitely need more practice. But hey, I did make a couple of those shots, and we are at about 50 yards, so I'm proud of myself. Normally, whenever firing handguns, I'd have to step up to our dirt berm over there, which is about 30 yards, and that does make it a little easier to hit the target. So, between everything, between the military surplus, the AR-15, the Mini-14, the AK-47, the Romanian RH-10, and the 1911 would be my go-to for this situation. Later on, as I acquire more items and new ammunition, etc., etc., that loadout may change. As a matter of fact, that loadout probably will change. Unfortunately, right now is not the time to do it. So as a result, I have my loadout. Earlier in the day, I did make a video. I was far more accurate with this thing. If you want to see some better accuracy in a video, I'll go ahead and link that down in the description as well. Anyway, I am probably going to go lay down because I've been up for like 3 days constantly now. And actually, I should probably get some food, then go lay down. Whiskey's a good substitute, right? Whiskey's a good substitute for food. If you like this kind of stuff, go ahead and mash that subscribe button down below because I do this kind of stuff all the time. If you like the video, do me a favor and like the video. Go ahead and check out the Patreon page. I've started doing Q&As on the Patreon page. You don't got to be a Patreon to go there and check out the answers or to ask questions. I'm tired. I'm tired and I'm thirsty. I'm actually very thirsty. So I'm gonna go lay down. You guys go off. Have yourself a fantastic day. Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garrett. It's a shame that bolt action shotguns aren't more mainstream.